Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's meeting. Today is Wednesday, November the 8th, 2023. The time is now 6 p.m. The regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Trinidad will now come to order in person as well as virtual by Zoom. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Elect, would you please lead us tonight?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That sounds scary.
I didn't know you were talking to me.
Hasn't sunk in.
Hasn't sunk in.
Could I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Bono?
Here.
Griego?
Here.
Ogletree?
Here.
Shu?
Here.
Thurman?
Here.
Williamson?
Here.
Rico?
Here. Item 2, approval of the agenda. Does council have any changes that they would like to make? Hearing none, entertain a motion.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Call vote, please.
Mr. Bono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. Item 3, policy item, the staff reports. Been asked that Mr. John Kratke, he's our gas rate consultant, is here tonight, and he has to get going. So he asked if he can come up and give us his presentation. So Mr. Kratke, would you please come forward?
Yes, I will. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. We're here now to discuss a gas rate increase.
Did you want to do that this time or wait?
John will give a presentation now,
Okay.
and then we could go ahead and get to the end, and then we can.
Right, okay.
Second public hearing.
Mayor, members of council, again, my name is John Kraske. Thank you for the introduction. I'm a consultant out of Smithfield, Nebraska, which is a town nobody's ever heard of, right in the middle of the state. But I've been working in the utility industry for over 30 years, and one of the core parts of my practice is working on retail rates for electric, natural gas, water, wastewater utilities. So I've worked with several other municipalities in Colorado, and I appreciate the chance to work here in Trinidad. I once lived down near Lamar, between Lamar and La Junta, Los Animas, Colorado. So I kind of enjoy getting down this area to visit. That's a nice drive from La Junta over here, though I didn't do that today, but it's one to make sure you have full tank of gas, that's for sure. So just by way of background, I think you all know this. You, the city, own and operate the natural gas utility. So you don't have a regulated entity like Xcel Energy that runs your system. You set the rates, and you have some rules that you follow. You make sure that you set a tariff that sets rates that are fair, just and reasonable, fair, reasonable, non-discriminatory, various terms you use. But the main thing is you have to collect enough money to pay your bills. At some point, if you're not collecting, I mean, you can set rates to zero, but at some point, you're going to run out of money. And that has a whole set of other consequences for the city and its credit rating. So I think you've done a very good job of managing the gas utility and its finances. You have a very healthy cash position, but there are some rate things that we need to work on through this analysis to resolve issues that were identified in your last audit, and basically just make sure that the gas utility is self-sustaining, that it's not losing money, for lack of a better way of saying it. The next slide, you have 3 components in your rate structure. You have components that are designed to cover the cost of running the utility internally. Cost of paying Steve, cost of paying the guys out in the field, cost of paying, cost of sending out bills, maintaining the pipes, doing all your reporting, doing all that. That's all the stuff internally, and that's covered through 2 pieces of your rate. You have a metering and billing charge, and then you have a delivery charge. We're not going to be affecting either of those components tonight. I'm not proposing to do anything with those. You're collecting enough money through those components to pay your internal costs. The third one is designed to be a pass-through of your purchased gas cost. You purchase your gas from the National Public Gas Agency. You have a contract with them, they send you a bill, you send them a check, and they supply all your gas. You don't own wells, you don't own any of that, you don't have to manage any of that, they take care of all that for you. So normally, the way you set your rate up is to pass that cost through without markup. That's the way your rate is designed to be working. It's not working that way right now, which is why I'm here. So your tariff has a provision that you update the rate on, you're supposed to update what's called the gas supply charge on an annual basis. You're supposed to look at how much your projected gas is supposed to cost. And then you add in a component to recover the shortfall. If there's a shortfall in your collections the previous year in the gas supply, in the gas deferred gas account, you would collect that over the next year. You would automatically adjust that. If you have over collected, you would give that money back. That is the way your rate is designed to be working. As near as I can tell from when I got involved, your prior rate consultant, I believe, did not update these for the last 3 years, it appears. And that's not a fault of the city or the staff. I think I would place that squarely on the prior rate consultant, who's somebody I know and I have a lot of respect for, but I think there was just some errors in how this was managed over the last couple of years. So again, I said earlier, your gas utility is performing fine. You have adequate reserves. You have a very healthy cash reserve balance. The problem is it's sitting in the account that is this designed to cover internal costs. It's not sitting in the account to cover gas costs. So there's a mismatch, and that's why you have a large deficit on the deferred gas account that's sitting on your balance sheet. And that's an issue that your auditor identified. You have not recorded that as an expense at this point because under your rate schedule, you're supposed to collect that from your customers. So right now, your gas supply charge, I'm on slide 5 now, is 23.33 cents, 0.2333 is the rate that's in as your gas supply charge. As near as I can tell, that was implemented in July of 22. It was not adequate to cover the gas costs you're paying NPGA. That was an increase. The last time it appeared to have been updated was 2017. Your rate schedule says you're supposed to update this annually in November, and that did not occur. So 23 cents a CCF. Your gas cost in 2022 was 43 cents a CCF. That means you're losing about 20 cents a CCF on every CCF you sell to your customers. Now, you're making it up somewhat on the other side of it, but you're not supposed to be. You're supposed to be, both sides are supposed to be self-sufficient. Your internal costs are supposed to cover themselves, and your gas supply charge is supposed to cover itself. So what has happened over the last 2 years, and that rate was fine 5 years ago when gas prices were very low. Russia decided to invade the Ukraine. We've had other issues in the energy supply. We've had other supply chain, all that. Gas prices doubled, and your rates didn't change to match that. And so we need to fix that. You need to fix that. I'm going to help you fix that. If I looked at your tariff and said, all right, this is what your tariff says you have to do right now, I would raise the rates, I would follow the formula, I'd project your gas costs for next year, I would recover the deficit, and I would take your gas supply charge from 23 cents to 60 cents. Your average customer would pay about 60% more next year than they are right now, if I followed the letter of the tariff as it's written right now. I don't think that's reasonable, especially when you have $5 million sitting in the bank and you're in this other piece of the account of the gas utility. So working with staff, we came up with a couple different alternatives. Worked through it with Steve, the city manager, walked through it, and the methodology we came up with is as follows: to mitigate some of the impact on your customers, use some of the money that's sitting as reserves. So the first thing, and this is something you have done before, I understand, is we'll take that $2 million deficit, and essentially that's going to be a write-off. It's a transfer from reserves over to the gas supply account. It'll be recorded as I can't remember the exact accounting term, but it'll show up as use of money foregoing the collection of money that you were entitled to, is really what it is. It doesn't affect your cash. You still have the money. You've already spent the money, but you're just taking it from this side where it covers your internal costs to cover those gas costs. Yeah, your books will show a loss next year, or for fiscal year 23, excuse me. But there's no cash going out the door. It's just a matter of saying, we're not going to collect this money from ratepayers because we don't want to raise rates 60% from when we have 60 million, or when we have that money in the bank. I'm proposing that you increase the gas supply charge in February of 24. That'd be past the winter season, so there will be less impact on customers. I'm proposing to raise it 10 cents a CCF. Remember, if I follow the tariff, I go to 60 cents, so we're going to mitigate some of that increase. But the goal is that we need to get that rate up to about that 43 cents a CCF before, when we can, so that you're not losing money on each of those units that you sell.
You said 10 cents, or would it be 20 cents?
It'll be 10 cents in February of 2024, and then we'd raise another 10 cents next November, would be the plan. So, under that plan, we will have a little bit of additional accumulated deficit. My proposal would be, again, to do what we're doing with this. We would write that accumulated deficit off again. We'll know what it is in December. We can, take action to eliminate that deficit at that time. And then my proposal would be then in November 2025 that we would go back to doing it the correct way. For the next 2 years, we'll use these numbers, this 33.33 and 43.33. Use the reserves right off that deficit, and then start doing this correctly in November of 2025, in a couple of years from now. That's the proposal that staff and I came up with that we think best mitigates the impact on customers now. It avoids a big rate increase of 60% or more, and it spreads the increase out over a couple of years. Yes, you have a
But are you
question?
including what if gas prices go up between now and then?
So, if gas prices go up between now and next November, I'll say November of 24, we're going to go ahead and just use that set amount, that 43 cents. We will look in 2025. If the gas prices have gone up and we have another deficit in 2025, we would collect it with that true up, or with that calculation we do in 2025. So these numbers are going to be set for the next 2 years, essentially.
And then what about our reserve? If we keep taking out of it, how are we going to build that?
So that's a great question. I've done some calculations based on current gas prices, and this is on the next slide, or let's see here. It's a couple slides later. Can I visit about that when we get? No. That's a great question. There will be the use of some reserves. I'm projecting about $600,000 of reserves that you'll be using this year in 2024. But you have $6 million. I'll say that in my work with utilities, I like to, if a utility has between, I'll say 180 and 270 days of operating cash, I'm pretty happy, because that's a very high credit rating. You have almost 2 years of operating cash. So, you have about 2 years right now. So I feel very comfortable using those reserves, and your ability to absorb some gas price increases next year. I'm comfortable that you'll be fine. And right now, gas prices have been trending fairly stable, if not down, over the last 9 to 12 months. So I feel comfortable with these projections. And then if we can look at it in 2025. One other thing I did with the proposed language is that if you accumulate a big deficit in that gas account again, that you would have the discretion to spread that impact out over a couple of years, rather than doing the one-time impact like your current rate schedule.
Mr. Ruger, have you talked with Cheryl to see at what point, even though we do have a healthy reserve right now, how much drawdown we can take before it starts affecting that?
Mr. Mayor, no, I have not had that direct conversation with Ms. Navarette. However, based on what I've seen, we're still going to maintain an incredibly healthy reserve. So I'm not worried about it. I think it's the right thing to do to dip into the reserves to offset some of the customer costs. So fully on board with what the consultant is presenting to you tonight.
Go ahead, continue.
I have a question here. I'm sorry.
It sounds like
what I'm hearing is that we're over collecting on metering and billing charges and delivery charge. So why would we not just adjust that down to account for an increase in the gas supply charge?
That's a great question, and I would say that for right now, the focus was getting the gas supply charge fixed, getting that side, because that, it's like one of those, you're bleeding here, but you got a little, a pimple over here, you're worried about the bleeding. That part of it needs to be addressed. I think it would be appropriate. It wasn't part of my scope to do a full gas cost of service study at this time. We were focused on fixing this issue. I would say that probably in a couple of years, you'll have a little better clarity on where your budgeted costs are. I would say once we get this issue, I would be happy to work with you to adjust those other rates and make sure that they're not just adequate, or if they're too high, reduce them. And then also make sure the mix between the customer charge and the volume charge is correct, that you're making sure you collect those components correctly. And I've spoken with Steve about doing that at some point in the future. We were focused on getting this done right now, and just from a timing standpoint, to make sure that we could get it before council.
That makes sense,
So,
thank you.
Okay.
Excuse me,
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
So what's included in the delivery charge?
So, yep, yes, that's a great question. So, right now, your metering and billing charge is supposed to cover, this is what it's supposed to cover, and without doing the cost of service we just talked about, I can't know for sure if it is.
Right.
The metering and billing charge is typically designed to cover cost of reading the meter,
Okay.
cost of sending out a bill. Usually it covers the cost of where the customer's connection comes into your system, a basic amount of the distribution cost that would deliver a minimal amount. It's really like if you had all the customers you serve right now and sold no gas, how much would it cost to run your system? That's what it's designed to cover. And then the volume charge is designed to cover the rest. The delivery charge is supposed to cover all of the other operating costs of delivering the gas from the town border station where NPGA gives it to you across your pipes to the meters. So, did it answer your question?
It does.
Okay.
It does, because I'm taking into consideration, we've got a healthy increase on workman's compensation and insurance and wages, so I can't figure out how we got into that situation.
And that's all the internal side of it. I mean, it's,
Right.
yeah, I understand. I mean, I think I understand what you're saying is
Yes.
how you accumulated surplus.
Yes, okay.
I will say this, that I've worked with a lot of gas systems. I will say your cost structure on your internal costs is efficient, I'll say. I've seen a lot of other utilities where if you looked at what that delivery charge is, it's maybe 30-40% higher. So I don't think you're mismanaging, you're certainly not mismanaging the utility. I think from what I've seen in terms of your cost, it looks reasonable, it looks like it's efficiently run. You're certainly not, you don't have a gold-plated system, you're not overpaying your employees by any stretch, so. I'm sorry, I thought you had, I'm sorry.
Maybe Steve, do we have a contract with the delivery? Does that price change, kind of like, because like with power, it could change with the wheeling charges? Do we have a setup for that?
We don't have a setup, it changes month to month.
And there's no way to control that?
There is, we can log prices in, but it's kind of risky of doing something like that.
Okay.
So I think it's too big of a
kind of
risk.
curious because.
I think that's too big of a risk.
Go ahead.
I mean, I think it's important to bring up, as I always do, the storage that we have in place and how that buffers peaks. I mean, that's super positive for us. So,
Right.
I mean, I think it's germane to what we're talking about right here.
Yeah, I would say having that storage contract, the ability to store gas in the low cost periods in the summer and use it in the high cost periods in the winter certainly is look at like the winter storm a couple of years ago, that gave you a lot of flexibility to mitigate a lot of your costs, I think, and you get the benefit of that, that's for sure. I mean, there's always risks that you can have high summer costs and low winter costs in a warm winter, but I think overall in the balance, it's a good investment.
It helps us build our reserve.
Okay, so I've jumped around a little bit here. Let's see if I can get back on track to where I was at. Okay. page 4 on slide 7, that just shows the rate increases spread over the next 2 years, or the next 2024 and November of 24. And again, you can see that those first 2 line items are not changing. So what you're recovering to pay all your internal costs remains the same. Your gas supply charge then that goes up about $500,000 in February 24, and then another $500,000 in November of 24. So, and those are annualized numbers. And again, this write-off doesn't affect your cash balance. It's simply an accounting mechanism. You will have a shortfall at the end of 2024. I think you have revenue to cover that. Because top of slide 9 on the top. Slide 9 on the top of page 5. I'm expecting you're going to have about a $600,000 deficit in this account next year. Again, you still have well over a year worth of cash in the gas utility. I feel comfortable.
I was going to ask you something,
Yes.
just out of curiosity, doesn't every city have to submit a utility tariff for approval from the government?
No. So as I understand it, with Colorado law, you are the government.
So you have nothing to do with submitting anything to the government?
You do not have to submit these rates for approval with the Public Service Commission or any other regulatory body. There are some provisions. So, no, you don't have to. I mean, you are the regulatory body.
As a municipal in Colorado, you aren't subject to CPUC.
That's right.
Okay.
That's correct. The only time, as I understand it, with utilities, you're subject to that oversight is if you charge a different rate outside the city than you do inside the city. And at that point, you would need to, so no municipals ever charge a different rate. I'm not aware of any that charge a different rate outside just to avoid that oversight. So, am I saying anything that?
I believe so, I guess. I think so. I think Councilman Williamson said it best, but I think that's absolutely correct.
Right. And I don't like to play legal. I don't like to play lawyer, and you don't like to play rate consultant.
I'm not a utility rates lawyer, but I think that's absolutely correct.
Right. And so there are rules about how, and those are the reasons that you have a tariff, that you approve that tariff. You have a hearing process that you will go through that Steve will discuss for next month. You will sit in judgment of these tariffs to make sure that they are reasonable.
Adequate, yeah.
That, and, yeah, so.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I think that leads in really well to the last slide on page 10. What I'm proposing that you do is you currently have a volume 1 for your natural gas rate. Typically then what you do is you reissue sheets. Well, I could not find a good record of when it was originally adopted, when the individual sheets were changed. So sometimes what I've done is, if there's a bunch of changes, I'll just start over. I'm proposing that you issue a new volume called volume number 2. This will be the original issuance. We will update these rates as I've talked about tonight, and so the new volume will have these rates as I've discussed, if they're approved by the council, and would implement the gas supply rate increase February 1st and November 1st of next year. And then by doing that, then we'll provide and also on the last one, as I talked about earlier, is that if you have a large balance in the gas supply charge account, that you can defer it. You can say, okay, we don't want to impact customers negatively. We have the cash to do it. We're going to spread it over 2 or 3 years. So that would be my proposal on that. So that would give you at least discretion to do really what I'm doing here tonight, is to say, you know, we want to mitigate this impact to our customers, and it could go either way too. You may want to avoid a large rate decrease at some point in the future. So that's my proposal. So my recommendation would be, I think Steve will discuss the logistics of this. There will be a hearing next month, where if you set this for hearing, it'll be held next month. You will accept public comment. If you're comfortable after the public comments that the tariff is acceptable, you'd vote to approve it, which would implement these steps. So, and then again, I would recommend in fall of 2025, that's when we get back on this process of checking it every year and make sure we don't get this big balance again.
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a couple of questions, if I may.
Yes, you may.
You just mentioned we get back on this process of checking it annually, and it's my understanding that we were previously engaged with another company
Right.
who was supposed to be doing this.
I would say that my read of the tariff, if I was that consultant, I would have had you do this every year. I can't speak to, I wasn't involved in those communications as to why he didn't do that or why that firm didn't do that, but.
Mr. Ruger, do we know, I mean, when did that end, the previous?
And I'll have to defer to Steve. I believe it was a 3-year contract, right? And it recently ended
With
with the
I don't
previous.
believe we.
Yeah, maybe you can come help address that question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you, Steve.
So I don't believe we had a contract. I'm not sure what we had a contract. I came on board in July of 2020 as the utility gas director. So at that time, I kind of was just learning about the whole process. In November of 2021, when I was kind of seeing that we weren't collecting what we're supposed to collect, I hired NMPP, which is Nebraska Municipal Power Pool, to do a rate study for us. They did the rate study. We implemented it in July of 2022, the rate increase at that time. And then as it was going and I was watching the funds and stuff, and it still didn't look like it was balancing out right. And then I believe it was in February or March of 2023, I reached out to John to see if he could just take a look and see what's going on with the funding. And what I actually originally hired John to do, we ended up hiring him to kind of do not a complete rate study, but a rate study on our gas supply charge.
Right.
So I can't answer the question why it hadn't been done since 2017. And in 2020, I was just kind of learning about it. It looked like it was okay, and then like when the war started in February of 21 and stuff like that.
So, I mean, it does occur to me, with utilities and utility billing, I mean, there's an incredible amount of guesswork and speculation that occurs, and we're subject to a lot of outside forces that act on it. So it does take a while to see that overarching picture develop.
Yeah.
I'm super grateful that we have strong reserves to cover it, but the reason I'm asking this question is it's good that you're getting that firsthand experience, but it's obviously, and this would go without saying, it's something that we don't want to repeat.
No.
So I think it's critically important that we're certain that going forward we have this well monitored, and with all due respect to you, the JKEC has the job history and performance credentials to ensure that we're comfortable that in 5 years we're not looking at another $2 million. So I mean, that's my
I don't believe we will. I think we have a hand on it now, and moving forward, I think with John on board, I think we'll be able to sustain what we have and have a good balance.
I mean, so then at that point, then we will have annual.
Yes.
Annual
Moving forward, yeah,
accountability.
we're going to have.
Okay.
If I could add to just, what I would propose to do is when we get to that process, what I've done with some of my other clients, I just worked on another NPGA member where I basically set up a spreadsheet template that they can plug in numbers from NPGA, make this calculation. I can do it too. I do this for Fort Morgan and a couple other cities as well. And we can discuss whether you want to have me do it or have staff do it and me check it, or, I'm happy to work on that. And, I've been doing this for 30 years.
Right.
I have clients, I've been in business on my own since 2009. And, a lot of the same clients I worked with in 2009, I'm still serving to this day. So I'm comfortable in my capabilities to monitor this and make sure we don't get down this road again.
Well, the whole thing is that we need to look at long-term sustainability. That's really what this boils down to.
And that's what this will do. Absolutely, 100%. So, do you have anything else? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I have just one, Steve. Let's talk money. What would the average billing be with this increase so people would understand what we're talking about to their bill?
So I kind of did a calculation on an average house size of about 1,200 square feet, 1,400 square feet. And Going into the cold winter months, January, February, it looks like it'll be between $20 and $30 on the first increase, the 10-cent increase. And then again, in November, it'll probably be the same thing. So about a $20, $30. So overall, when the whole thing is done, probably about a $50 to $60 increase on the utility bill.
And then, of course, that depends on how well.
Well, the winter.
Yeah, it all depends. We just kind of picked a couple houses that are using around 250 cc per month. And that's kind of an average of an average size house.
That 250 cc's, was that the height of the winter cold?
That was winter cold,
Okay.
yes, that's when the January, February months. Usually January is our month that we're using the most gas. As a city, we use the most gas in January. As far as heating, for heating.
Is there any correlation to loss in unaccounted for gas to this problem, or are we not? Because with our new temperature compensated meters, I mean, that account should basically be going to zero.
We should be cutting it down. We don't have the full AMI system in right now. We still have a lot of the commercial meters that we gotta work on.
So
once that's all done, we'll get a better handle on where our loss of gas is.
So our commercial meters are not temperature compensated yet, or are they?
Some are, some are not.
Because I mean, it just occurs to me that LNA could be really contributing to this, and I think it'd be important to know that before we proceed.
Yeah, we've looked a little bit about that, and the temperature compensation should only be about 1% of our loss of gas with the meters that we have.
Okay.
We don't have very many meters that are non-temperature compensated.
Okay, so the vast majority of meters are TC.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We have probably, I'd go about 98% of
Okay.
temperature compensated. Yeah, we just have a few here and there scattered out
On
that we're waiting on right now, and then that's the other thing, we're having issues. We're way over budget on our metering side because of the price increases of all the components now. Speaking of a commercial meter, it's went from about $3,000 a meter to almost $10,000 per meter. So we're putting out $10,000 to put a new meter into a commercial building. Okay, we kind of got to watch what we're doing at that point.
Okay, any other questions for John?
No. Thank you.
John, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And I'll just say too, I will, I know Steve's going to talk about the setting this for hearing in his presentation. And
in our agenda.
I will be available during that hearing, either via Zoom or in person, to make sure I can answer any questions that may come up. So,
Thank you.
Mayor, Council, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Ruger, do you have anything else?
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to mention we have Brett Forrest here, who, as you know, we've been talking to about doing a lighting festival tied in with our winter festival in February. So Brett is here to answer any questions, but he's in town this week doing some preliminary assessment of where we might do the lighting displays and that type of thing. So I just wanted to point that out. Brett, did you have anything you wanted to add to the council for today?
No, well, thank you for approving the contract. We're going to go out tonight and do some tests. After following your meeting, I'm going to test off the balcony here just to give you a sense of what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We did talk about equipment,
Yeah.
especially with what Space to Create wants to do as well. So combining efforts there, it's good. And I need to start thinking about a path, winding through the town, thinking about business, see what they like to see, as well as understanding where I can operate each projector from and on to, and where the different hot spots are in your town. I understand Safeway seems to be a big one. Didn't realize just how big. So it's just finding out that kind of data, which I guess Alpha Maps, I understand, will give me some more ideas too there. But do you have any questions for me? Any questions?
No.
So Brett will be around after the council meeting, mayor and council, to show off some of what the displays are. So if you guys are interested, stick around over on the balcony.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Brett.
On to item 4, petitions or communications. Do we have anyone signed up? Tim Chrysler.
Hello, thanks for allowing me to speak to you guys tonight. I think there's just 2 of us on the list, both of us Tim, so one Tim leads to another. Yeah. Usually I've come before council quite a few times, and it's always been in the capacity of service to my community. Tonight is a little different. So I'm here as a private citizen who is very, very frustrated. We have code enforcement in our city, but it seems to be just code and no enforcement. I have individually spoken with Karen and Phil and Rusty Goodall. This has been going on for 3 years now. I've been trying to get the city to act on containers that are illegally in my neighborhood. I started this 3 years ago, contacting Mike Valentine. I've continued with Steve, and I'm getting nowhere. And it's just so frustrating. And it's not just the containers that are in my neighborhood. It is over the entire city. I see junk cars. I see multiple, like 9 cars in somebody's house. And I drive by another house every day with piles and piles of appliances. This can't be accepted in our city. We have rules in place. They need to be enforced. And this is what I'm imploring you to do, is to hold staff accountable to enforce these things. It's very frustrating. So it's as simple as that. I don't need any more time than that, but I just ask you to please do something about enforcing these things. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have Luann Lane.
Mayor, council members, thanks for giving me the opportunity. I'm a recent transplant from Texas. Sold out and built the house of my dreams on Garfield Avenue. And what's happened in the last year is we have had thefts, mountain bikes stolen, construction materials stolen, people coming onto the property, belligerent. And what I found out is that I am actually much more scared here in Trinidad at this picturesque mountain town that I thought was going to be like Nirvana than I was in Dallas, Texas. There's a known drug house right around the corner from us. We've had neighbors that have had their doors kicked in on security camera. Police were called, juveniles involved, and it, again, this is hearsay, but it seems like the police officers could identify the juveniles, but nothing could be done because they didn't witness the event, even though it was on security tape. So what we've done is we have put security cameras in. We're locking our gate every night. But as it is now, I'm in my beautiful retirement home living in fear. I don't know really what to do. I don't know the steps to take. If police can help, if more patrols can help. And so I actually come to you, council members, asking for help. Guidance, anything that I can do so that I can feel secure in my own home. So that's really all I have to say, other than if anybody can give me some guidance, I would certainly appreciate it.
We don't usually answer.
Of course.
We will take that into advisement and talk to city manager.
Maybe request your contact.
Yeah. Give us your contact information.
Certainly.
Or you could just give it to us, if she doesn't want to do it publicly.
Correct, right.
Oh, no,
Exactly.
I'm glad to give it to
Please.
whoever, but yeah. Okay, thank you very much. That's really all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Jim Peters.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you again. Congratulations to everybody that got reelected. Well, I love that woman, just saying, okay? And, no, she is from Dallas. We've been to Dallas many times, and her house was safer than it is in Trinidad. Whatever. I'm not the point man on this issue. Somebody else was bringing it up, because you know I'm new in the neighborhood, built the house on the top of the hill, right? And all the neighbors, they're all friends of mine. You know, I've been here a long time. I got a lot of friends. They're coming to me and they're showing me videos of people getting their doors kicked in. They've got people on camera peeing on their car handles, trying to open it. All the cops are called. They show up a half hour later, and nobody's doing anything about it. These kids are running wild. And even the police that I talk to understand that it is minors. And they go, well, we can't do anything. I hear stories that, well, if they don't steal or do damage of 25, 100, or I don't know the exact number, right? But cops ain't doing anything. Okay, I understand. I just moved here and stuff, and like Luann said, you know, shit, you leave anything out on a construction site, it's gone the next day. So, okay. Even with our house, I ended up living in it the last month because we had too much valuable stuff in it to leave the night to go to our other house because they just steal you blind. Okay. I got my bike stolen. I lived upriver. Oh, I got my nice mountain bike that I used to ride, tried to stay in shape. It got stolen. Took it out. I talked to my cop friends, and I'm friends, and I support the cops, you guys. I'm not anti-police. We need to do something. That being said, they said, you know, probably unless we trip over it, we're not going to find it. The guys that I've called on other issues, they said, oh, they know the drug house. They know all the knuckleheads there. But nothing's getting done. I was contacted by a bunch of neighbors right up in Allendale. And I said, yeah, absolutely, I support that. You know, I mean, we need a safe neighborhood. And then I kind of talked to people throughout town when I'm getting tires and stuff, and they live up in the Heights, and they said, oh, it's everywhere. You better unlock your car, otherwise they break in it. This is town-wise, and I suppose when I talk to more people, I'm going to hear about it everywhere. I don't know. We don't know what to do. Personally, if somebody comes to my house on my property 2, 3 in the morning, I'm going to be scared. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be scared, and I'm going to be protecting my family. I don't know if they're armed. I don't know if they're tweakers. I don't know what. But I don't want to live like that. I just want to chill and have fun, and I don't want to have to worry about tweakers coming to our house, and I don't want to have to defend our house. I will. I guarantee you I will, and I'm not saying those words, but I'd be scared to death if somebody comes to my house 3 in the morning starting to pound on things. I don't want that to happen. But shouldn't something be done? I mean, I don't know. I don't know the district attorney. I don't know the issue that all the police are dealing with, but you guys are the new council, new mayor. You guys are all members of the community. You know I'm not making this up. You've all heard it. I'm sure you have.
1 minute left, sir. Sorry for interrupting. 1 minute left.
Thanks, Les.
You bet.
But anyway, I think you guys get the point. This is probably not going to be the last time that we're all here. There was supposed to be people show up, but then somebody had a death in the family and things came unraveled, but we're all dressed up, ready to go, so we're going to talk to you. I don't know what to do. If you guys are the city council, you're elected to kind of protect us a little bit. I don't know. I don't know what the answers are. So, anyway, I can keep repeating myself, but I think you guys all get the gist of it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Item 5, consent agenda approval. Item 5A, approval of the regular meeting minutes of October 17, 2023. Item B, reappointment of Danielle Roll and John Armijo to the Planning, Zoning, and Variance Commission. Are they here tonight? I don't think they are. Let me see them here. Item C, approval of special events permit, malt, vinous, and spirituous, application by Rick City Roller Derby at 204 South Chestnut Street on November the 18th, 2023. Do we have a Thomasia Smith here tonight? Okay, thank you for being here. Approval of the bills for $2,199,451.41. Item E, approval of the payroll, October the 28th, 2023.
I'm sorry.
You're okay.
You're okay.
Do you not need us?
Only if there's questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Through November the 10th, 2023, we have 2 periods. One was for $473,900 $909.64. The second period was for $425,545.20. Entertain motion.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second?
Call the vote.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. And yes, thank you for it.
All
We have a couple of public hearings that we're going to put together, 6A and 6B. One is a retail cultivation facility, retail marijuana product manufacturing facility, medical marijuana infused products manufacturing, and 4, medical marijuana optional premises cultivation operation license applications filed by K&P Enterprise, LLC, doing business as Atomic Concentrates at 3601 Freedom Road. And also item B, which is a new retail marijuana store license application filed by KP Enterprise LLC, doing business as Blazing Hippie at 123 West Cedar Street. Hearing is now open, and could you swear them in, please?
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Oh.
Oh, good, here we go. So we have legal counsel and the applicant, so we'll be swearing in the applicant.
Raise
Yes.
your right hand, do you swear
Yeah.
that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and the whole truth?
Yes.
Okay, and you are Mr. James Prince?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Counsel, would you please enter your appearance?
Absolutely. Richard Murphy with Goodspeed Merrill on behalf of the applicants.
Okay, thank you. Mayor and council, and as you indicated, Mayor, I am asking that 6A and 6B be combined for these purposes. And there are 2 addresses, 5 licenses, 4 at one at the other. I'll try to clarify through the applicant and council as we proceed. But if I could, please, Mr. Prince, I'm going to be asking you a number of questions, sir.
Yes, sir.
And please just let me know if I ask you a question you don't understand, or if you want to consult with counsel or have your lawyer answer, please just let me know, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now, I want to ask you, Mr. Prince, to begin, have you read your applications? Have you gone over the applications before you submitted them, and can you attest to their veracity or their accuracy?
Yes.
Everything is materially
Everything is
correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Prince. Now, so we're clear to begin, we have the applicant, and I know you're here on behalf of the LLC, the applicant is K&P Enterprise LLC?
Yes, sir.
And I believe of that LLC, sir, you are a managing member, is that correct?
Correct.
Are you the sole managing member, if you know?
No, sir.
Okay, and I'll get to your partner here in a moment, but K&P Enterprise LLC is the applicant here this evening, correct?
Yes, sir.
And what you are asking for is a number of licenses at 3601 Freedom Road, doing business as Atomic Concentrates. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And those license types are, correct me if I'm wrong, a retail cultivation facility, a retail product manufacturing facility, a medical marijuana infused products manufacturer license, and also a medical marijuana optional premises cultivation operation license.
Yes, sir.
Correct? Okay. That would all be at 3601 Freedom Road for Atomic Concentrates.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And then you're also applying, K&P Enterprise LLC is applying to do business as the Blazing Hippie at 123 West Cedar Street. It always gets a response.
Yes.
Yeah, at 123 West Cedar Street, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that is an application for a retail marijuana store license?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, before I go too much further, Mr. Prince, would you like to inform council what it is you're proposing? I mean, you have 2 premises, an application for 5 licenses. What is kind of your business model, if you would? Like, what are you, like we were talking on the phone today? What are you going to be doing at the Freedom Road location? How does that tie into the Cedar Street?
The Freedom Road location is a wholesale. It's going to be reaching out to all dispensaries throughout the state. We will be selling our product throughout the state there. The grow for the recreational will do mostly supplying the store on Cedar Street.
Okay, and so we're clear, the store is not in any way a medical marijuana store, correct? So the grow and the MIPS, if you will, the medical marijuana infused products manufacturer license, that would be for a grow and product to be sold elsewhere?
Yes, sir. Colorado Springs, for example, is all medical.
Okay.
So to get into that market, you need to be on the medical side of it.
Okay.
So for the wholesale end of it, we want to be able to reach the whole state, so we need to have that in there.
Okay. But the retail cultivation and the retail MIPS, those would be primarily to supply your store?
Not the MIPS. It
Okay.
will be also a wholesale company reaching out throughout the state.
The MIPS.
You can't make it off of one store. There's 600 opportunities out there, and you need to reach all of them.
Okay. In other words, you would make more product than you could sell at one store?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, okay. So, so I'm getting ahead of myself like I always do, but I want to ask you, sir, the ownership of K&P Enterprise LLC, that is yourself and Ms. Tina Marie Katz?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Katz, K-A-T-Z?
Yes, sir.
And I believe Ms. Katz is an 80% owner and you're a 20% owner?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you. But both of you are on the LLC.
Yes, sir.
Both of you are going to be managing members. I think in your operating agreement it said you're both going to be managers of both locations, right?
If that's what it says.
That is correct, yes,
Okay.
Council.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that, Council. Let's see here. Will you and/or Ms. Katz be responsible for the day-to-day operations of both locations if you were approved?
I will be responsible. I relocated back to Trinidad, and I will be responsible for day-to-day operations.
Okay. So, Mr. Prince, I want to kind of do a little bit of housekeeping, and this is kind of a bit unique. Council, first of all, I would like to point out to you, and I probably should have done this at the beginning, the conditional use permits, and this is in your packet of materials, the CUP for the retail marijuana store was issued in 2014. And so also, I should tell you that the CUPs were utilized by a business known as Tweedleaf. I don't mean to give testimony, I could have asked those in the form of a question. Is everything I said correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so was Tweedleaf doing business at both 3601 Freedom Road and 123 West Cedar Street?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what is your knowledge about Tweedleaf? What has happened? Yeah, and Council, maybe I should...
If I might take that one, yes, thank you, Mr. Downs. Thank you for hearing us this evening, council members. Just a little quick background, and I'm sure that being a small, tight-knit community like Trinidad is, people have probably heard some things about our situation. But to give you a little bit more background, previously, back in the 2016 timeframe, Mr. Prince initially built up a grow operation at 3601 Freedom Road and was in the process of opening the retail location at 123 West Cedar Street. Around 2018, both of those were sold to what operated as Tweedleaf. Over the course of the 4 years between 2018 and 2022,
the principal of Tweed Leaf, who also had locations in other areas of Colorado, including a grow in Ordway. I believe there was another grow in the Denver area, and then dispensaries in Colorado Springs, Denver area, and obviously here in Trinidad. Over the course of those 4 years, the company and really the principal of the company engaged in a series of behavior that violated Colorado statutes, the rules surrounding the marijuana industry. He was failing to pay his taxes both at the state and the local level. He was falsifying testing results, which you may know you have to test certain batches of your products, send them out to the Marijuana Enforcement Division to show, look, everything is fine, this is a quality product, we can sell it. Falsifying those to hide the fact that there were heavy metals involved in some of the products. So the Attorney General's office conducted an investigation, and last summer in the summer of 2022, my clients learned about just how bad things had gotten and the fact that this investigation was going on. And so we started a process, and this is in some ways the last step in that process, but also the first step of our journey here. But we started a process whereby we instituted a lawsuit against the Tweed Leaf entities, essentially to put a stop, from a business perspective at least, to what was going on, and do our best to take everything back. And it's taken us until now to get to that point where we did finally get the properties back. We did finally get everything in order where we are able to get all of the licenses. We've already gotten approved at the state level. And now we're obviously asking you for the approval at the local level. And in the interim, the AG's office did end up issuing or instituting and filing an action against those former owners at Tweed Leaf with many, many counts of violations of the rules. And rather than go through the hearing and the trial on that at the administrative level to then ultimately have all of the licenses revoked, penalties instituted and everything, a settlement agreement was reached. Included as part of that settlement agreement was the fact that Tweed Leaf name and brand shall never, ever be used again in the state of Colorado associated with the marijuana industry. That the individual who was charged, and this is public record, so I think I can say,
Sure.
Mr. John Koweski would never be issued another license to be able to operate in this state. And that they ended up destroying all product that was not only here in Trinidad but everywhere around the state because of the risk that it still may have been contaminated with heavy metals. So that's kind of how that all came to a resolution. And we're now back before the City Council, really looking to rebuild what Mr. Prince and his partners had built in 2018, a first-rate facility that really every inspector he's talked to in the last couple of months says, tell him, boy, we're glad to see you back. And boy, this is, I can't believe this is the same location, because I'd come in here every year and I'd fail them because they had all these problems, and now I'm coming in here and there's a couple light bulbs off and you got to fix that. And so, what I think Mr. Prince and his partners are looking to do is really come back and contribute again to this community with a quality operation that brings revenue in, of course, to their business, but also to the city, brings jobs back to the inhabitants of Trinidad, and really gives them a home base, as Mr. Prince already sort of said, to be based in Trinidad and then have a reach that expands to other areas of the state, but with the roots here, where they started back in 2016. So I hope that gives the general background of not only my clients here, but also the unfortunate, I'll use unfortunate, that's I guess an innocuous enough term, right? The unfortunate situation that these two properties experienced over the course of the last 4 years or so.
Thank you. That was a very good explanation. But let me ask you, if I could, please.
Yes.
Regarding the background checks, Ms. Katz came back clear. Mr. Prince, you came back, you had an old domestic battery and a driving under suspension. I believe they were from 2003, and I believe those were dismissed.
Yes, sir. Honestly, the domestic was dismissed. The driving, I pled guilty to because I learned from a young age that ignorance is no excuse of the law, and I didn't know that my license was suspended until I got stopped. So it was for a parking ticket.
Thank you.
That I didn't pay, and everything got lost in the mail. So I ended up with no license, knowingly I didn't know it.
Thank you. But I want to, use that to kind of segue into, in your application for the Blazing Hippie location, there's an addendum to your individual history record that says supplemental information related to prior license. Now, I want to ask you, first of all, as you were telling me today, Mr. Prince, you have no other interests in any other Colorado marijuana licenses now, is that correct?
No.
Okay. Well, this individual history record says that the applicant previously held an associated key license number issued by the Colorado Department of Revenue Marijuana Enforcement Division. In 2018, the applicant's business, became part of a disciplinary action initiated by the division. The final stipulation agreement and order is attached here to Schedule 1. We don't have a copy of the order. Is this you?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so let me just read on, and I'll give you a chance to explain, sir. But it says the order, as explained in more detail in the order, the applicant submitted several change of ownership applications to add a third party, quote, Frank, to the ownership structure of the business. I'm sorry this is taking so long. At the time of the change of ownership applications were submitted to the division, Frank had not yet lived in Colorado for enough time to establish residency in Colorado, as then required by since amended applicable law. In addition to the lack of residency issue, a member of Frank's family, quote, Shank, I'm sorry, I'm not making this up, had without authority, I guess
it was his daughter, Fallon Shank.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Made certain false representations on social media that Shank was involved in the business. Shank's publication of such false statements was not authorized by the business and was not consistent with the actual practices of the business. However, due to the above described issues, the division denied the applications. The applicant voluntarily surrendered his licenses and paid the fine the fine assessed in connection with the order. Please let us know if there's any additional information. Okay, so that's all I have. Please.
If I can start, and then I'll have Mr. Prince fill it in.
Okay.
And let me apologize, because that was some legalese, and that's why it was hard to read out loud. So let me give a little bit more background. This was part of the situation that led to the sale in 2018. So Mr. Prince had a partner in the Florida area who he wanted to bring in to be part of the business here. And at the time, the regulations in Colorado required anyone who was going to own or have any ownership interest in or receive any proceeds from the marijuana industry to be a resident of the state of Colorado. That has since changed. That is no longer a requirement. There are certain residency requirements depending on your role, but generally speaking, people who do not live in the state of Colorado can now, under the current law, hold an interest and obtain and receive some income as a result of the marijuana business and the marijuana industry. At the time, that was not the case. So at the time, the partner, Kathy Frank, had established residency here by obtaining an apartment, essentially, in the Colorado Springs area for a period of 2 years, so that, yes, I have residency here in addition to, I'm essentially a dual resident, right? I'm a resident of Colorado, I'm also a resident of Florida. I now qualify, I can be part of this business. What I think occurred was that council, that at the time the applicants filed the application maybe just like a smidge early, before that 2 years was actually attained. And so that resulted in this investigation and this piece that led to, rather than putting up a fight about it, the applicant said, well, look, we'll surrender these things, we'll find a buyer, who at the time they thought was a decent buyer. And Mr. Prince voluntarily said, I'll surrender my licenses for now. He did not receive any suspension, any penalty, anything else, or any prohibition on future licensing. Ms. Kathy Frank, who's not involved in the current application or the current businesses, was barred from being licensed for 5 years, and that is now up. Similarly, I believe Fallon Schenk was barred from receiving any license for that same 5-year period. That is now up. So that's essentially in a nutshell, what occurred there. I don't know, Jim, if there's anything more to add to that.
All I can say is it's young people on social media.
Well, there's that.
She was never in the building. How can you run something from Florida that you've never seen?
Okay.
So that's my thing there.
Were there any other marijuana licenses that you were part of that?
I have been in the industry from the very beginning.
Okay.
And have never had anything against me.
Okay.
I was in the industry in Colorado Springs for 12 years before I came down here.
Okay.
We had discreet treats and stuff, and we had a couple stores. Never had any complaints with Med. They have come in and everything is correct.
And for the record, they have approved, conditionally approved, your 5 license applications that we're here to consider tonight.
Absolutely.
And that's part of the
them.
application, okay. Just thought the record should reflect that. Mayor and council, I'd also like the record to please reflect that the zoning for atomic concentrates on Freedom Road would be industrial, and the zoning classification for Blazing Hippie on Cedar Street is historic preservation. Also, for the record, the CUPs were approved by Planning and Zoning on August 13th, 2014 in the Cedar Street location, and June 9th of 2020 on the Freedom Road location. Okay, so the landlord. The landlord, you have the same landlord for both locations, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that landlord is B&C Developers LLC?
Yes, and that's who built Freedom Road.
Okay.
Original.
And both are 5-year leases commencing on July 1st, 2023.
Yeah.
And for the consideration listed in the lease. Now, I know that the landlord, that it was signed by Bill Frank, the leases were. Will you please just tell council Mr. Frank's connection to Ms. Katz?
It's his daughter.
Okay.
It's his oldest daughter.
So your partner's dad owns the locations.
Owns both buildings, yes, sir.
And of course, in the lease, you have it clearly reflected that you have the landlord's permission to have marijuana businesses there. There was a security agreement. I want to ask you, Mr. Prince, if I could please, if you're approved by council tonight, when are you hoping to get a certificate of occupancy for both locations?
I'm hoping for Freedom Road within a month, and I won't even start with Cedar Street till the first of the year. It's really the timing right now. It's
Okay. Okay, so a few housekeeping measures that I want to go over that I want you to please represent to council, and that is, first of all, you understand that you cannot buy or sell or possess cannabis unless and until you have your licenses issued by the state of Colorado and the city of Trinidad.
absolutely.
Okay. You understand, sir, that the city of Trinidad has co-jurisdiction over marijuana licenses, and that we are one of the licensing authorities.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that you have an ongoing obligation until the licenses are approved, if they are, until they're issued, and ongoing, you have an obligation to cooperate with any and all city officials in our reasonable requests of your marijuana businesses.
I've met every one of them when they ask.
I understand. And you understand you have to cooperate.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And that includes the police chief, the fire chief, their designees, city manager, city clerk, city attorney. Any reasonable requests, you have to go, the chief financial officer, who's back there. Lots of on a pointer.
Anybody that wants to talk, I'm available.
Okay. And you understand, sir, that you are, you're responsible. I know you have certified knowledge of the Colorado State marijuana law, the local marijuana law.
Yes.
You understand that you are completely responsible. And if you have a law violation or you have an administrative violation, the recourse is you can lose your license or licenses.
Absolutely. I run a tight ship,
Okay.
always did.
Okay. And you understand that we have that authority in that jurisdiction, correct?
Yes, sir.
You understand, sir, that you're responsible for knowing when your licenses come due and making sure these are all based on specific instances that we have lived through. But you're responsible for the renewals of your licenses, and you can't conduct business on expired licenses.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I want to say, this is a question I haven't asked in a long time, but because you have a marijuana grow operation, in times of water austerity, if we have water shortages, you're considered to be probably the least important, customer. I hate to say it, I don't mean it quite like that.
I was told that years back.
Okay. But you may be cut off
Yes.
in terms of, reduced and curtailed your water supply, again, in times of water austerity.
Yes.
Same thing can happen with gas, power, other utilities. You could be, curtailed in your grow operation. I neglected to ask you, Mr. Prince, I asked you today, but I didn't today. How many acres do you have? Is it an indoor and an outdoor grow?
Right now, it's indoor. By spring, we will try to add 2 more licenses to put outdoors, just for the processing part of it, not for any sale to stores it, other than after we process it.
How many acres do you have outdoors?
I don't remember.
It doesn't matter. I mean, there's no.
I can't. That was years back when we purchased that, and I really don't know.
Okay. All right. So I have no further questions of Mr. Prince or council. Mayor, council members, I would turn it over to you.
Questions? No, I just hope you don't have to repeat everything.
Thank you.
And I thought my life was complicated. No, I just want a reassurance from you that anybody associated with Tweedley and will have anything, I know you mentioned it, but I just want your reassurance that those people will not have anything to do with it.
I've got people going through these buildings to make sure that when I go in, there's nothing that says Tweedley. Okay? I personally, you don't have to worry about me and Tweedley.
Okay. It's very complicated to try and follow the ownership.
Right.
So the ownership of the buildings have not changed. Are they associated with Tweedley?
No.
Okay.
The guy that owns the buildings sold them in the deal with Tweedleaf.
Okay.
And we have spent 2 years fighting to get our buildings back.
Yeah, just to try to clarify, there were entities that owned the buildings.
Yes.
B&C Developers LLC
Yes.
owned the buildings. And then there was a different company, THC LLC, that owned the businesses. Those were both sold to different companies, one that held the property, one that held the businesses, and it was operated as Tweedleaf. It is those entities that we had to get mainly the buildings back from, and then get Tweedleaf out of there, so then K&P can come back in and restart.
We actually won a good sized judgment against him, which you'll never see, but
Right.
yeah, right.
Okay.
He's in hiding somewhere.
Right.
No, thank you for the clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, no questions.
Assuming that we vote yes on this, I just wanted to clarify with Mr. Downs. I would be reading findings from 2 different matters that we're combining.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I've tried to do the best, but I'll
Okay,
probably.
sorry. It's a challenge.
It's a mess.
Right.
That's all I had.
Okay, thank you.
And you're saying that you and the cats person are not associated with each other, you're just doing business with?
They are.
Oh, we are associated. Me and Tina Katz are associated.
She just got her license back 5 years ago?
That is, it's a different daughter.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
the-
all right.
I know. There are, I don't know, 5 daughters? I can't remember.
No, there's only 3.
Oh, 3 daughters,
Okay.
yeah.
But you're doing business with the cats?
Well, it's the Franks who,
Gotcha.
Tina Katz is
All right.
his daughter.
Right.
Just make it clear.
Yep.
I was curious, if the previous operator was having heavy metal issues, and I'm not, this is not my specialty at all, but if you're growing in the same location under similar conditions, what steps are you taking to ensure there's not metal?
Well, first off, the heavy metals that he got caught with was actually from Ordway that he snuck in to Trinidad.
Okay.
And second off, I don't grow in the field. I bring soil
Okay.
and put it in bags and stuff. I don't use the soil that's there.
I was curious. Okay.
I was a little wondering why Ms. Katz is the 80% owner.
Because they own the building.
Okay, and I was surprised she's not here. That's the thing that I was.
You won't see them here. I'm really gonna be the one running everything. We're just trying to put things back together, and they know nothing of the industry. It's.
And if I may also, Mr. Mayor, the part of the split was based on who contributed the more capital at the start of the business. And so Ms. Katz is really more of the startup capital, whereas Mr. Prince is more of the startup, I know how to do this, I've done this before, I'm gonna build a great business for us.
So she's got the side of the partner in a sense.
Right.
Okay. This question for internally us here. Tweedley, like I said, I know they went out. Did we ever have to do anything to revoke their license, even though that the state MED has said they're not going to give them any license? Did we have to do anything there?
Ms. Garrett is nodding her head no. And so the answer is no. And I believe it's because the state acted, and now I'm getting an affirmative head nod. So I am smoking.
I don't have any other questions. Like I said, I know that on the second item, like I said, there was an opportunity if we wanted to go into an executive session for any particular reason.
I would request an executive session.
I have one more question from us. Are they 2 businesses? Is it 2 DBAs?
2 DBAs.
Okay, all right.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
they're in 2 different places, so, okay, got it.
Same LLC.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd like to make a motion to convene executive session.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Call roll, please.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. Okay, we'll retire back into the,
We'll be right back.
Yep, understood.
Because I keep seeing him on Facebook.
Yeah, he might be out. I mean, he didn't have that high of a bond. Like, he has like a family.
I think some of it.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised if he was able to bond out though, because he comes from a family, you know, like, I think could probably afford it, you know.
Sister maybe, but
Yeah, I wish I could do that.
Check out this awesome ball.
Bounced off, right? It got stuck.
throw it at the laser show.
Right, exactly.
I haven't seen him walking around
Right.
town. So
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I've seen him on the roster lately.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of forgot to pay attention to.
Right.
My kid's got a diamond list. For Halloween, kids flurry mountains instead of candy on the streets. And I mean, all around the house, bouncing like crazy. Yeah.
No, he's still there.
Oh, really?
I guess it's a 50,000. That is.
That's a lot.
Oh, wait a minute. Is that the same person?
That's how much.
Oh, I was thinking of that guy in the cemetery.
No.
I got confused.
No, Brandhold.
Yeah, no, he's still there. Now he's up to 60,000. Don't know if it's cash only or charity.
He's probably getting straightened out, you know. He'd been there that long, maybe getting clean and sober.
I mean, it does work.
That's my
You know, I think, you know, like, I feel like I've heard that before.
He lives out in Maryland now, but he was in New Mexico for years, and he really got into the cigarette.
I'm gonna
Back in session. Okay, the time is now 8:34 p.m. Or 7:34.
Sorry.
And the executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were
Aaron Williamson.
Lane McTardy.
Aaron Ogletree.
Phil Rico.
Friendship.
Karen Grable.
Eli DeBona.
And Les Downs.
For the record, any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into the executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I would ask that you state your concern for the record. Hearing none, the next agenda item is that we move on with this, and I think there's a question to be asked.
Thank you, Mayor. So, Mr. Prince, if I could please, I just want to ask you one or two questions on council's behalf, and that is, in the previous license give back, right, that you had before, the residency issue regarding Frank, okay?
Yes.
Did you know, I mean, what happened there exactly?
The attorney that we had at the time was from Pueblo. He was the one that advised us. We had bought the Cedar Street building. We had already had the license and up and running on Freedom Road. His advice at that time was to go ahead and throw Kathy on the one from Cedar Street because he felt that she had met her 2-year requirement.
Okay.
So it was basically a big mistake. It was nothing, no one, if we would have known that, we surely wouldn't have put her on the licenses. This was under advice of counsel.
Okay. And I think that this council, with the C rather than an S, is wanting to make sure that you weren't too cavalier and you're choosing a business partner that didn't meet a residency requirement. It was upon the advice of legal counsel.
Yes, sir. And we had went through the licensing once. We had the licensing. We had it set up that I was leasing from the Franks and so forth.
Okay.
Then our counsel from Pueblo, when we went to apply for a Cedar Street store license, said, let's throw Kathy on it. Now, she's met her 2-year requirements, so it was.
Okay. Is that sufficient?
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I have nothing further, Mayor and Council.
Any other questions?
How many full-time positions will this add when it's all complete?
To start with, I'm figuring around 15. When it gets really going, we should have about 25 employees.
And those will all be full-time employees?
Yes.
Outstanding.
Yes.
Thank you for your interest in Trinidad.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Okay, let me try to get this all this straight. So we do have a public hearing. Anyone in the audience that wants to speak for or against both the retail cultivation facility as well as the new marijuana license? Anyone listening in virtually or someone in-house? Hearing none? Hearing is now closed. Entertain a motion for the new retail cultivation facility, retail marijuana product manufacturing facility, medical marijuana infused products manufacturer, and for medical marijuana optional premises cultivation operation license applications filed by KNP LLC doing business as Atomic Concentrate at 3601 Freedom Road, and B, which was the new retail marijuana store license application filed by KNP Enterprise LLC doing business as Blazing Hippie at 23 West Cedar Street.
123.
At 123.
Please, sorry.
123 West Cedar Street. Entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Any other further discussion? Call the roll, please.
DeBono,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Ogletree. Yes. Shu,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Take a deep breath.
Here we go.
In the matter of KMP Enterprise LLC, DBA Atomic Concentrates, 3601 Freedom Road, Trinidad, Colorado, 81082, new retail marijuana product manufacturing facility, retail marijuana cultivation facility, medical marijuana infused products manufacturer, medical marijuana optional premise cultivation operation, and in the matter of KMP Enterprise LLC, DBA Blazing Hippie, 123 West Cedar Street, Trinidad, Colorado, 81082, new retail marijuana store. These matters came on for hearing on the application of KNP Enterprise LLC, DBA Atomic Concentrates, 3601 Freedom Road, and DBA Blazing Hippie. Hold on one second. This is where it's confusing. Okay, let me just read that. Atomic Concentrates, 3601 Freedom Road in Trinidad, Colorado, for a retail marijuana product manufacturing facility, retail marijuana cultivation facility, medical marijuana infused products manufacturer, and medical marijuana optional premise cultivation operation license. And on the application of KNP Enterprise LLC, DBA Blazing Hippie, 123 Cedar Street, for a new retail marijuana store license before the City Council of the City of Trinidad, acting in its capacity as the local licensing authority on November 8, 2023, in City Council chambers in City Hall. The City Council, having reviewed the application and supporting documents, reports of the city clerk and other city staff, evidence of the hearing, and testimony taken during the hearing makes the following findings. The application is complete and signed by the applicant, and the applicant has paid the appropriate application and license fees. 2, the application appears to be in substantial compliance with all the requirements of Article 3 of Chapter 14 of the Trinidad Municipal Code. The applicant has testified to their willingness to comply with any and all areas of said article where compliance at this time cannot be fully attained or substantiated. 3, according to the testimony of the application does not contain any material misrepresentations. 4, the proposed marijuana businesses comply with applicable zoning regulations. The City Council hereby finds that based upon the testimony of the applicant, the buildings in which the proposed marijuana businesses will be located will conform to the Trinidad City codes, including the zoning code and all international codes adopted by the city. 5, James Earl Price testified in favor of granting the license. James Earl Prince testified in favor of granting the license. No other persons testified in favor of or in opposition to the granting of the license. 6, the applicant, through the facts and evidence adduced as a result of the city's investigation and testimony provided, has made a prima facie showing that the applicant owners are of good moral character, and any employees of this entity will likewise be of good moral character. 7, according to the city clerk's report, there are currently 57 medical and retail marijuana licenses overall approved within the city of Trinidad, with 29 ownerships at 36 addresses. 8, based on the evidence produced at the hearings and the investigative materials provided for the hearings, the City Council finds that the location of the businesses are appropriate and that the applicant owners are of satisfactory moral character, and there's a willingness, I'm saying that again, by the applicant to fully cooperate with the officials in the city in the operation of these businesses. Therefore, the City Council of the City of Trinidad, Colorado, as the local marijuana licensing authority, hereby approves and grants a retail marijuana product manufacturing facility, retail marijuana cultivation facility, medical marijuana infused products manufacturer, and medical marijuana optional premise cultivation license at 3601 Freedom Road in Trinidad, Colorado, and a retail marijuana store license at 123 Cedar Street in Trinidad, Colorado. The issuance of said licenses will be withheld until all inspections have been satisfactorily completed to confirm compliance with all codes adopted by the City of Trinidad. The licensee is not permitted to possess product in advance of the license being issued.
Have a drink, you did a good job.
Can we give Ms. Ogletree a round of applause?
Good job, Gil.
Thank you all.
Anyway, thank you, and good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I want to shake all of you.
Everybody wants to say
And look at the age of the.
And you're an Elmore, that was the hippie colony.
Thank you all. I sure appreciate it.
Thank you for bringing the job.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you. No.
Okay, on to item C, public hearing for consideration of ordinance granting local landmark designations of the property described as Greenhouse Parking Subdivision, Parcel B, formerly known as Terry's West, Block 13, 613 Arizona Avenue, City of Trinidad, Los Angeles County, Colorado. The hearing is now open. Ms. Garrett, what do you have for us?
Mayor and City Council, the owners of the property, Franklin Lashley and Crystal Piercy, through Keaton Williams, has applied for local landmarking designation at 613 Arizona Avenue. On October the 11th, 2023, the Historic Preservation Commission considered the application and have forwarded a recommendation that City Council approve local landmarking designation of this historic property. I believe Ms. Williams is on line for testifying for this hearing.
Okay. Ms. Williams, do you have anything to add, please?
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yep. Yes, go ahead.
Good. Quick congratulations to our new mayor-elect and re-elected council members and new council members. I just wanted to say really quick, I really enjoyed campaigning with you all and seeing everyone's energy, and so thank you for all of your continued hard work. So this evening, you'll have on the agenda consideration for landmarking of two properties, two different agenda items, same owner. Those are the properties located at 613 Arizona Avenue. This one particular one was built in 1913, and the adjacent property, 101 Pine, was built in about 1890. These are being considered for landmarking because they actually fall outside of the core zone of Trinidad National Historic District. And so by landmarking these historic buildings, we're recognizing their architectural and historic significance. And we will be eligible for tax credits on these buildings, which is much needed. It's sort of a but-for situation when it comes to the condition of the buildings. And so those incentives, along with other incentives that the owners are working with City of Trinidad on, will actually make this project possible. And it'll be so nice to see this block revitalized. So what I'd like to do is just let me know if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to answer them about the landmarking.
Well, I know that, we discussed this in a work session before, and I don't know if you guys have any questions, any further questions? Ask.
I have one question. When the renovations are done, will the outside basically appear the same? They aren't planning to change the appearance of the building on the outside, are they? On Malvernia?
So sure. Malvernia is also known as 613 Arizona. It's townhomes. It's originally like a Chicago-style flat. And everything on the outside will remain the same. There may be some code issues, like for example, on the stoops, the parapet walls, like for the porches, are a little bit low. So we might use very discreet, like rail protection there. And any improvements, we discussed this with the Historic Preservation Commission, but any improvements that we do is going to be per the Secretary of Interior standards at the national level. But other than that, there's really, it's a beautiful building, and I think that the intention is to just keep it as close to it how it is right now.
Thank you, and the report was really helpful and well done.
Any other questions, Carlson?
No, I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, you're gonna see it, yeah. Okay. Anyone in the audience or online wish to speak for or against the consideration of the ordinance? Hearing none, hearing is now closed. Item C1, second reading of an ordinance granting local landmark designation to the property described as Greenhouse Parking Subdivision. Parcel B, formerly known as Cherries West Block 13, at 613 Arizona Avenue, City of Trinidad, Los Angeles County, Colorado. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Call the vote, please.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. Item D, public hearing for consideration of an ordinance granting local landmark designation to the property described as Greenhouse Parking Subdivision, Parcel A, formerly known as Cherries West Block 13 at 101 Pine Street, City of Trinidad, Los Angeles County, Colorado. Hearing is now open. Ms. Garrett.
Mayor and City Council, as Ms. Williams stated, Franklin Lashley and Crystal Piercy are the owners also of this property. It's located at, lost my address. I did lose my address here. 101 Pine Street. Historic Preservation Commission also considered this application on October the 11th and have forwarded a recommendation to City Council for approval of local landmark designation of this historic property as well.
Council have any questions?
What will the exterior treatment be on that building? I mean, it seems altered from its original status.
That's exactly right, it is. It was originally a decorative brick style, so if you look at the corners of the building, you can kind of see that they're maybe mid-20th century there was a really hard, like very rocky stucco that was over the brick. So the intention is to remove that and bring it back to its original, how it originally was in the period of significance, which is about 1890. And so I'm working with a mason who is also working on the Fox West Theater right now. And so they're a very reputable company. We went out and did a little test of the surface, and we believe that we can easily take off all of the kind of like non-conforming stucco, and that it'll be much better for the building when we do so, because it's just so hard and there's moisture getting trapped behind it. So once we do that, I think what we'll realize is a really beautiful brick facade that's part of the original.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great to see.
It would be nice to see them come back.
Yeah.
Any other questions? No, sir. When do you anticipate, if approved, when construction would be starting on both of these projects?
So right now we're going through the landmarking process. We're also working on permitting for 613 Arizona. So the intention is to start that first. It will go through a design review process, which could take anywhere from, maybe six weeks to 12 weeks, something like that. And then once we get through that process and everybody is okay with the plans, we'll go ahead and get started. So hopefully this spring.
Okay. Anyone in the audience or listening in want to speak for or against? Hearing none? Hearing is closed. Second reading of an ordinance granting local landmark designation of the property described as Greenhouse Parking Subdivision, Parcel A, formerly known as Cherries West, Block 13 at 101 Pine Street, City of Trinidad, Los Angeles County, Colorado. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, call vote, please.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item E, public hearing for consideration of an ordinance vacating a portion of an unused alley in Block 1, Kirschbaum addition to the City of Trinidad, Los Angeles County, Colorado, abutting 1006 Western Jane Fredman, applicant. Hearing is now open. Ms. Garrett, what do you have for us on this one?
Ms. Fredman submitted an application to vacate an abutting unused alleyway. It's abutting her property at 1006 Western Avenue. Planning Commission considered her application and has forwarded a recommendation that the City Council indeed vacate that unused portion of the alley.
Is Ms. Fredman here tonight?
She is.
Okay. Do you have anything that you would add to it, Ms. Fredman?
Hello, council members and mayor. I'm happy to answer any questions. I don't want to further delay the hearing.
Okay.
I think you have, at the first reading, there was information submitted. And I'm just trying to add some land that is being unused, and is basically a portion of the side yard of this lot that I bought. The house had burned on it a couple of years ago, and so now it's a vacant lot, and I'm hoping to redevelop it at some point in the future.
Okay. Council have any questions for Ms. Fredman? I don't.
I went by and looked at the alley, and it seems like the boundaries of the alley are pretty well delineated. So I'm having a hard time imagining what part of that alley is going to be vacated. It looks like it's a straight shot down the block.
It is, it's just not within the platted alleyway that was platted in the 1920s.
Okay.
And so in 1984, the neighbor to the west, which we own the property, the lot to the west, across the alley, they deeded a strip that actually aligns directly with how the road is actually on, within that alley. So all I'm trying to do is take the land that is not being used and is actually within the fence line of my lot. So when you look at it, there's, it's invisible.
I understand now. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Did anybody, I'm looking at this picture and I'm noticing that there's still like a long triangle here of these, did they ever ask to be involved in this so that they could get those pieces of that?
Yes, in my original application had them, and I was sort of representing them too, and we were trying to do it all at once. But it was determined by staff that the city has not gone to the point of, after my lots 1 through 4, to go south and acquire the right-of-way that is actually where the road is. And so the next step, I guess, would be to go ask the neighbors on the west side for land on that.
Okay.
So that's why it hasn't been cured. So basically, the road is on someone else's property, and it has been for a long, long time.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
No questions.
I don't have any questions either.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience or listening virtually wants to speak for the ordinance vacating the property? Hearing none, hearing is closed. Item E1, second reading of an ordinance vacating the portion of an unused alley in Block 1, Kirschbaum, addition to the city of Trinidad, Los Angeles County, Colorado, abutting 1006 Western. Jane Fredman, applicant, entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Call the vote.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. Item 7, unfinished business, we have none. Item 8, miscellaneous business. 8A, consideration of appointments to boards and commissions. We have one person for the Library Advisory Board, Ms. Laura Bacon Flores. I think she's here. You want to come forward in case there's any additional questions or anything else you would like to add to your, what you submitted? I know that the last time you were here, you kind of gave us a pretty in-depth idea of what your background was, and anything else you need to add to that at this point in time?
No, just that I'm really excited for the possible appointment.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Flores?
No, I believe you'll be a welcome addition. Thank you for waiting so long.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We can entertain a motion for the appointment of Ms. Laura Vega Flores.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Call vote, please.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Item 2, the Arts and Culture Advisory Board, Richard Alfred.
Nothing to add.
Okay, any questions for it? Okay,
Thank you for. Yes.
Questions for Audra. On our form, it says there are 3 vacancies on art and culture. Voting members include Chad Kraft, then 3 other people. Chad Kraft is not on that board any longer. I think he stepped off a while ago, so there may be more than 3. That's all I wanted to put up.
okay. Look at that being said, entertain a motion for Arts and Culture Advisory Commission to Mr. Richard Alfred.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Call the vote, please.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Rico?
Item 3, Housing Authority Board.
Thank you.
Ms. Keely Williams. Any questions for Ms. Keely Williams on the Housing Authority Board? Ms. Williams, do you have anything to add to the reason why you want to get on board? Or I know you discussed that when you were here the last time.
I did. I'm just excited for the opportunity, and I love housing, so I think it'd be a good one for me.
Entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Okay, call the roll, please.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yeah.
Thurman?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. Item B, set public hearing for gas rates at 6 to 6 p.m. on December 19, 2023. Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Mr. Crowe, what do you got?
As we heard from our consultant, JK Energy, we need to do something with our gas rates, so I request that council set a hearing for gas rate increase, first reading on December 19th, 2023. If you have any questions, please.
Any questions for Mr. Crowe on this? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank Steve for all his hard work. This is a long time coming, and he's not doing this lightly, and he's put a lot of time and effort and energy into this, and I really trust what he's bringing forward. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you, Steve. Bravo.
Yeah,
Bravo.
Okay, another discussion, call a vote, please.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. Item C, consideration of bid results for the project of number 14-2023 Trinidad Pickleball Court construction. Entertain motion?
So moved.
Any second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion. Jared, what do you got for us?
Yeah. Of course, it's shorts weather. That's a
Die-hard record guy.
Mayor, council, special congratulations to those who ran a successful campaign. Again, before you talk about pickleball courts, I guess I open it to questions. I understand there's some questions and concerns, so are there any?
I have none.
Well, I had a question. I'm all for exercise and for pickleball, but Councilman Williamson a few months ago inquired about a consultation with a geotech engineer evaluating and assessing the courts at the high school. Has this happened yet, Joe?
We haven't done that officially. We had some different consultants who came and kind of did a preliminary survey of it without official contract in place. The general opinion of them and Bob and some other folks was, given that the retaining walls are still intact, there hasn't been any significant subsidence on the court itself, the surrounding area, the parking lot, the sidewalks are all in good condition, that with a 4-inch compacted road base, vapor barrier, 4 to 5 inches of reinforced concrete, that there should really be no concern as far as the integrity of the court and its longevity. And then with the tiles on top of that, we should have a pickleball court for 20 plus years. So that's why we didn't go on a full, training the services of a geotechnical engineer, because the general consensus just from the opinion was that we should be okay, but should that be the council's desire, that we retain the services of the geotechnical engineer and go through that process and allocate those funds, then that's what we should do. We are under a bit of a time frame crunch. From my understanding, talking to the contractor and other contractors, if we don't get signed approval and under contract by the end of the year, things are going to go up substantially as far as the materials for the project. So that's just something to take into consideration.
And Mr. Mayor, members of the council, if I may, I did have a conversation with Mr. Just today. It'd be about $3,000 to $5,000 to do a full geotechnical report for the property. Bob believes that we could get it, once we hire the geotechnical company, we could get that done within a few days, so about a week to do the report and get the assessment back. So certainly if if the council would want us to move forward in that direction, we can postpone this item. I would suggest honestly just your next meeting and see if we can get the geotech report available by then. But certainly we can have the geotech report done and then approve the contract by December. So we're prepared to move forward if that's, like Jared says, the council's desire.
Any other questions?
Yeah, it says right here, yes, sorry.
Go ahead, Frank.
I'm confident that the people on staff and the company that's installing this court, I don't know if we need another report on this, but let me ask you a question. This is a procedural question. Can we approve it based on a favorable report from Geo? Or is that not the proper way to do it?
That's a good question.
Well, I think you could, but it could be kind of like a
Yes and no.
vague right
Yeah.
term, like we say yes with, exceptions or recommendations. It may not be as straightforward as saying favorable recommendation, it's okay. But you could approve and say if there is a categorical favorable recommendation from the consultant that you approve conditioned that there is approval.
This is where I am lacking because the technical part of this, I have no expertise in this. But visually, I've been by those courts. I go by them almost daily. And the problems with that lower court have stayed status quo for God, at least in my memory, at least 20 years. There's been no movement because I go to the school and I go by there a lot. That's very unprofessional, but that's the only thing I can offer.
Well, and to your point, was the general consensus of everybody who took a look at it, is that for being there as long as it has been, there's no significant, as I said, structural damage, subsidence, things like that, that it's whatever has happened, and we have to compare that's 2 inches of asphalt compared to what's gonna be 4 or 5 inches of concrete. If you go to the Riverwalk, you can walk the concrete part and everything's fine. As soon as you hit the asphalt part, which is actually thicker than the concrete, there's cracks and there's stuff and stuff like that. So I think, reinforced concrete, as I mentioned, as I've been told, those courts will be there long after we're dust.
Okay.
But,
That's a shorter time for you.
I know, some days I'm feeling pretty close.
I'm thinking, did we ever really determine if that was some kind of bad defect when those courts were originally poured? I mean, we're assuming that there was a spring there, but those things haven't changed condition
Well,
for
and that was what one gentleman was telling me.
1970 something.
If you're looking back at the upper courts, if there was really something really bad going on, everything along that wall, along the upper courts would be starting to, over the years, have completely deteriorated. And that is evidence that there isn't, in that person's opinion, an issue that's would significantly deter having, pickleball court.
Okay, I'm done.
In the contract, it says this price is based on assumption and design that the customers contain no underground water surface. Well, it does contain underwater surface underneath there. So there's really no guarantee then.
And that you're referencing item number 7.
Right.
Yeah. And that's true, and that's their, it would be up to us to say that we're okay with the site, and that's why if we're not, as a group, then we should do the geotechnical and make that consideration. That's kind of what that item is saying, is like, we're gonna go on the basis that as the property owners, we're okay with whatever's under the ground, so that they can build on top of it. So
Well, I prefer to have someone check it now, because there's a lot of money involved in this, and we just don't have a lot to throw away.
Sure.
And the issue, I know for sure those courts have been done 3 times on the top.
Yeah.
I think my concern is that we brought this as a very real problem, that we wanted it to be investigated, and it sounds like all that's been done is that some people, who I don't know whether they're qualified to say whether or not that is good land or not for this, what we're planning, that's frustrating to me.
Sure.
And that's a waste of our time, because a geotechnical report could have been done before this, and we would know whether or not this has a good chance of succeeding. So I think that we should do it. I think it should have been done. And if on the basis of that, they say there's an evaluation that the plan that we have in place now will work, then yeah, I'm all in. But otherwise, it's $334,000 dollars. And I don't want it to fail and then people come back to this council and say, you didn't do your job.
Sure.
So
No, I totally understand.
I want pickleball courts, I just want them to be there. And that the 15-year warranty or the 20-year warranty, that's only for the surface covering, actually what this company's gonna come in and put the play on. So that's my feeling.
Cover your butt. I think you should have the survey done and have it all spec'd out the right way from the beginning. And 'cause like the mayor said, we won't be here, even if it fails. It's gonna take its time.
Or more.
Or we might be too. That's all. Go ahead.
I apologize to everybody. This has been a very long meeting, but I do have a couple of questions. At this point, it's my understanding, and obviously because of the price difference, we have a very new approach that is our hope to overcome the subterranean defects that we presume are there. So I think we've killed that horse several times and are now commencing to kick it, but it's never stopped me before. I think it's a good idea we do the geotechnical, but in conjunction with the geotechnical, I think it's imperative that we provide them with the type of concrete we're using, all the parameters, the rebar mat design, the whole nine, and say, we want you to do your geotech survey and confirm to us that this design will work. Because to Councilman Ogletree point, we're the ones that are going to spend $334,000, and for the want of 1.5%, it could fail. So I think it's important we provide to them the design and say, this is our design. Is the subterranean conditions going to provide that? Because I mean, I'm not a concrete expert, but I think more times than not, failures of large pads, and this is a very large pad. Is that a monolithic, entirely monolithic?
I don't know if it's entirely monolithic. There'll probably be some joints where, but that have to be.
Okay, but either way, it's a really big pad, and pads fail due to failure of the substrate. I mean, that's what, the other question that I had, the nice part about this is we took the survey, we know people want it, we all want it, you guys want it, everybody wants it. But has there been a focus group or anything that has said, hey, we would like it to be at the high school? Because in my mind, it seems so institutional at the high school. Like you got that concrete wall, the blazing sun, the gold dome. I like the gold dome, I like the school there. But it seems very institutional. In my mind, and I could be very wrong about this, but wouldn't it be cheaper, nicer, and more accessible to people to have like smaller, just court size pads installed at a park? And I don't know where we'd have the room, but a court size pad, the covering over that, and then a separate court size pad. That's my question. Has there been focus groups? Do people want it at the high school? Is there a clear memorandum of shared use? Will it seem open to the public? Because right now it doesn't seem open to the public.
Fabulous questions. Yes, we do have a memorandum of understanding with the school. The purpose for that site was mostly a cost savings. Starting from the bare dirt somewhere else, we're looking at $400,000 to $500,000 for 6 pickleball courts. The idea to have them all centrally located in one place was to help promote like tournaments and stuff. To have little, it's hard to have a pickleball tournament or pickleball competition when you're spread all over the place. And that it would also, that helps, at that location it kind of helps develop our sport complex field, being in conjunction with Central Park and the sports facilities that are there. The restroom that's already down, if we were to have a big tournament, we'd probably bring in some porta potties, but we do already have a restroom facility in Central Park. So it was this, and it facilitates cooperative use with the college and with the school to have them there. The memorandum with the schools is that unless, basically the understanding would be unless they're using it for a pickleball curriculum, some sort of designated after-school program, pickleball program, or a competition where pickleball grew to the point where we're having like a track meet, that it would be open for public use.
And then the people that do that in town, and I don't know who they are, but have they expressed interest in it being there?
They want pickleball anywhere and everywhere. So, I mean, they want a covered one. That they are on the same understanding that it is the most logical location, granted all the different aspects of, centralized, other assets. It'd be nice to have a little bit of shade, I'll give you that point. But the view of Fisher's Peak from there is fabulous, so I'll tell you that. So, I mean, we could talk location until the cows come home as far as to who wants what, where, when. But in general, because of those things is why we're trying to.
Potentially future amenities could be added, shade sails or things
Shade
like that.
sails, lighting, all those different things that really help, the parking that was already in place, easy access, stuff like that.
I think the question I have is, I don't know if there are any drainage out of that bottom part on the wall. And I would think that, if we're going to do a geotech, hopefully they'll advise if there's any water drainage, that they punch holes in that concrete to allow some water, if there's any water, to escape and that would alleviate some of the problem coming through. So I guess the question right now to council is we approve the way it is, or we approve with a caveat with the geotech, if it comes through favorable, or we have three options here, or a geotech first and then bring it back for approval.
Mr. Mayor, if I may just offer a couple
Sure.
thoughts. So first of all, I just want to make it clear, this is one pickleball site. I would imagine that we'll develop future pickleball sites as funding becomes available going forward. I don't think we're going to see pickleball go away as a sport anytime soon. So there hopefully will be other opportunities to add smaller courts as we move forward. My recommendation for tonight, based on what we're hearing, sounds like council would like to move forward with the geotechnical report. So given that, I would recommend making a motion to postpone consideration of this item to your first meeting in December. Give us time to get that geotech report back as part of the packet for that meeting, so you can look at it and we can make a decision based on that.
Okay, and we have a first and a second, we just need to amend that to a postponement to the next.
To the first meeting in December.
First meeting in December. We want to make a motion to that.
I'll make a motion to postpone it to the first meeting in December on the report that would be brought to us.
Okay,
Second.
Okay, call the vote?
Excuse me, DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. And basically,
Thank you.
Okay, on to item D, consideration of a one-year extension of lease agreement with Trinidad Golf Association. Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Ruger, what do you have?
Mr. Mayor, I believe you've all had the opportunity to review the plan that the Golf Association sent to us. Staff supports the one-year extension to give us time to move forward with next steps on the feasibility study. And I think we do have Mr. Alford here, if you have any questions for the association. And
From what I'm hearing, there are some questions going around. I'm not sure. Do you have any questions?
I don't right now.
Based on what Serious Golf, the survey they did, I'm wondering if because I've never actually seen the lease that we have with the Golf Association. Okay, so what I would like to suggest is if we have a separate memo of understanding or an addendum to the lease with certain requirements for the extension, such as, and I don't believe it's a big ask. I think we could mitigate some of the damage at the golf course and maybe start turning it in a positive direction, even in this 1 year timeframe. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to, first of all, have a better understanding of what entity is responsible for what maintenance up there, such as the small windows being broken, the appliances in the kitchen being repaired. Those are small items that I think the Golf Association has the duty to repair, because in a normal tenant-landlord situation, the landlord is getting revenue to make these repairs. We're not getting any revenue, correct? Okay, so I'm thinking, there was something mentioned in here about the air conditioning, and there was a leak in the women's restroom. I think that they're just repaired, because if I remember.
I don't know, are they?
Yes.
I believe they, at least one of them is fully operational.
Because several years ago, the Golf Association submitted to council a bid for like almost $2,000. I'm sure it's probably more than that now, to repair those appliances. And I believe in good faith, it's a 50-50 from the Golf Association and the city. If you be responsible for some of the minor maintenance up there, and the city be responsible for what, like the air conditioning and the leak in the roof, those are major costs. That's one thing I would like to see. Another thing I would like to see is, it was mentioned, I don't know if the city mentioned it or the Golf Association mentioned it. I think it was you, Mr. Alford. But I think a representative of the city should start going to those board of directors meetings. That's number 2. And number 3, I would like to have a financial statement quarterly from the Golf Association, so we can kind of see how you guys are faring. I know it's bad, this is a bad time of the year for golfing, but I think it's showing good faith with the Golf Association, is showing good faith to the city, with the city. And we're trying to get this, worked out. And I think in that MOU, it has to list a stipulation that the Golf Association, with whatever means they have available to them, that they mitigate any more damage to that golf course. I don't think that's too much of an ask.
Before I carry on with the other council, one thing I think is just leaving that, something that would help here is that, there's the vision, the mission, the values, and that's all good. But one thing that's missing out of this is the implementation plan. That's what you're talking about. And I think if you're going to get a quarterly report, I think it'd be a good idea for the council, for the association to list what they're going to do the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, so that you can stay on top of it.
Yes.
So that, Frank.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree with you there. Then I'd like to see, an effort made to see if we can get the restaurant open so that we can get some income coming into there to help with us. And we need to work on the bathrooms that need to be done with the ADA and the thing there, and whatever else needs to be done with the ADA, because that needs to be important to get those restrooms in there. And I think that I agree with Karen on some of most of, all the stuff that she mentioned. I think that's part of the deal to try to get that golf course back on its feet.
I think this would be better suited to another work session. I didn't find the presentation that y'all brought us, it does not really to any extent address what was raised in the series report.
You're quite right.
And I know that you had very little time to prepare it, and I get all that, but I don't see anything that is significantly planned to change about the way it's being run. The statements of the vision, mission, all of that were just incredibly vague. not measurable, no way we could keep you accountable to it. There were significant things that were just completely ignored in terms of security issues. So I'm not ready to do anything tonight in terms of approving anything until I see something that it sounds like you all have taken seriously what problems were raised in that report and what you would do about them and how you would do that. You're all volunteers, and so much of what is being proposed that you would do, who's gonna work on a website? Who's gonna move a billboard? Who's gonna train staff? Who's gonna come up with employment policies? All these things are things that you talked about doing. Who's gonna do that? And I don't think you're being realistic about what the association can do in terms of operating that course.
Is it appropriate for me to?
Yes.
That report came from Lori Navarette, and she sent a copy to everybody on the board and asked for recommendations. I said the report makes no sense, it's too vague, it's totally does not address the consultant's report. I thought it was a terrible report. I thought too the statements of the mission were vague and throwaway. So I prepared my own. But I do not have the authority of the board. The president of the board, he's still getting over the sudden death of his wife, and he didn't want to be here. And I've had trouble getting a hold of the two young men on the board. I prepared a detailed critique of the consultant's report. Now, the consultant's report we received only last Wednesday. That's been offered here and forwarded to us. I'm sorry, I'm gonna forward you. I only made 5 copies, I apologize.
Just can we have one copy for staff, please?
I'll keep this
before-
really
okay,
quick,
thank
I
you.
promise
Sorry.
you. I'm watching full of time. The report was full of excellent suggestions. It also is full of lots of errors. The errors were so egregious. The man did a very poor job. He was here for 3.5 days, and he missed all kinds of things. So the first 3.5 pages there detail all of what he missed. He missed a great deal. Now, did he notice a lot? Yes. And is there a lot to criticize us for? Absolutely, positively. And I would not, as a council, accept that report that Lori turned in. I apologize to her, but I would not accept it. It's not detailed. What I give you in here is much more detailed, much more specific. The last page outlines what I would have us do, including spend our capital. We have over $85,000 accumulated. We don't need more than $20,000 as a reserve against the, we could spend $65,000. We could do all of the repairs, us, not ask the city for any money for any of those repairs. We could do that, we could guarantee you to do that in this year. But I'm sorry, I don't really have the authority to speak for the entire board. They're kind of in disarray, we have not met, and so, but if you take a look at that, and the things he missed were amazing that he missed them. I think he started the whole process out to criticize us. And that's why he made so many ridiculous errors.
I look forward to reading this, I really do, but since you don't represent the
Yes,
board,
you're
and
right.
the board isn't here,
You're right.
I don't know that we can do anything.
I agree.
Should have been another
May I?
representative here.
Yes.
Okay, because now I'm kind of totally confused because, and I think it's my approach to what we're doing as opposed to what you're talking about, Aaron, but I'm thinking that we're trying to put a temporary lease and plan of action from 2023 to 2024. And I think we're just trying to keep it together for that 1 year until the feasibility study is done. And then at that point, you will have, TGA will have an opportunity to file a
bid
request, a proposal to the city, and then we decide at that point. So I don't think we're talking about a permanent solution. That's why I mentioned some of those points. Try to mitigate the damage and what's going on at the golf course, the physical damage, and, you know, try to get to repair the relationship between the Golf Association and the city.
You make really valid point, and I'm responding to what we were provided, as though this is what they're saying they will do
Right.
to give an
Right.
extension, so I
Oh,
think
okay.
it's correct.
And my suggestions were in addition to that.
Yeah, you guys got an uphill battle now that I can see that you folks are not on the same page with what you just gave us and what was turned in. You're gonna need a year for sure to get that even on the same playing field with each other.
Thank you for being here tonight. Obviously, I mean, this is a tough position for everybody involved. I would say the city, the golf association, people in the city with an interest in the golf course. And, I mean, it's an incredibly important asset to the city. And with no disrespect intended at all to the person that created this, they obviously did it under duress. But it does not address the issues that we need it to, and yet we're in a position that we need to have some surety of moving into the future to correct the problem. So I mean, to your point.
And I will get a copy of that report to Audra as soon as I go home tonight, and so she can have one to the two of you who I wasn't able to give one to. Because what I do in this is I address the complaints of the consultant directly, item by item. I read every item, I read every word of that 120-page report, and I've got eye for detail. Yeah. And a teacher's editing. That's right. I didn't bother with the grammatical stuff.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just interrupt, I think we need to keep the discussion on just the extension of the lease, not on the report. That's not an item on our agenda tonight to discuss. So what I would suggest, it doesn't seem like council's ready to act on this item for tonight, unfortunately. So we can certainly invite the TGA to come to our next work session, would be on Monday, if you all would like to have further discussions in a more informal setting. And then the second meeting in November, we can bring this item back if we're sufficiently comfortable that we have everything.
I think it's important that the work session, the tone is known beforehand. I mean, that ultimately we're all looking at the same target and we'd like to get there. Because the more cordial it is and amicable, I think that's, it'll make it much more conducive to achieving those goals.
Mayor Council, if I may, I think, sorry to interrupt, but from what I heard at the last meeting, you all had asked for what I think you called a strategic plan for a one-year operation. Yeah, so I think that's what we're looking for, specifically over the next year, notwithstanding anything the consultant said, how are we gonna move forward over the next year and operate in the
But
course?
to Councilwoman Ogletree's point, the strategic plan, I think even you alluded to this, it needs to have measurable and attainable goals with people that are responsible. So, yeah.
Kind of like what I was saying, it's just an implementation plan with metrics. Okay. So I guess what Noreen would do is take a vote now on whether for the consideration of the agreement. Call vote.
DeBono,
Yes.
Griego,
I'm out.
Yeah, this would be, if we're going to move, it would be a no, if we're, because we're gonna bring
Mayor
it back.
Council, I wouldn't vote no on this because then it would be an item for reconsideration at a future meeting. What I would recommend is maybe a subsidiary motion again to postpone this to the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, we need to make that.
Make a motion that we postpone this to a work session or next meeting?
Postpone the item to the next meeting, and
Which
then
would be a work session.
we'll invite them to the work session as well.
Okay, that's.
Need a second? Second. Okay. Call the vote on that, please.
DeBono,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Ogletree,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Okay.
All right, see you guys Monday.
Okay, on to council reports.
The Los Angeles County Veterans Council is hosting a Veterans Day breakfast this Saturday from 7 to 10 a.m. at Fort Wooten for all veteran spouses, first responders, firefighters, law enforcement, the following weekend, they're hosting, as we had the Brick City Roller Derby girls here. They're gonna have an event in Holloway Hall at 8 o'clock on the 18th of November. So, that's it.
I attended the meeting for the unhoused, and I think we're advancing in our goals. It's really good now because it's really amazing, the executive team, the executive board of the committee is doing a lot of work, and the rest of us are just sitting around drinking coffee. But, we have short-term goals, and we have long-term goals.
And midterm goals.
And mid?
Yeah, short, mid, and long-term goals.
Okay. I forgot, I don't remember what the mids were, but
There's a lot
anyway,
of goals.
we have I know there's a lot of goals.
Yeah.
But, the program was in effect to the point that when we had that last cold snap, there is an actual procedure that goes on to reach out to the homeless. They call unhoused now, the homeless, and you pass out cards. Give me a minute, I'll show you. I carry them with me, and if I see somebody that I feel is in need of the service, you give them a card, it's laminated. And it tells you warming station criteria, the warming station, where it's at, and who to call, and then it gives you more information. And it says the criteria is you have to have 15 degrees or below with winds that are 15 miles per hour or greater. No substances, no weapons, no attitudes. It's almost like a biker rally. That's what they used to, honest to God, when we used to go to biker rallies. It's no drugs, no weapons, no attitudes, and no dogs.
And no fun.
And no fun. But anyway, Zion Lutheran Parish and Pastor Clay have been doing a magnificent job. So they're doing their thing. We're gonna try and get funding for a permanent encampment, and that's where we sit there. And then I went to the 40th anniversary for the ADA organization. Mayor Rico presented them with a proclamation, and it's really amazing what that organization has done, and that they've been successful for 40 years. That's it.
I don't have a report, but, to make a comment, we can't make comments when the people were in here in the front that gave up. But I think we need to get with the police department, because I know exactly what he's talking about, because I live just very few feet. I've had guys come to my house at 3 o'clock in the morning, knocking on the door, running down the street. And then I also have another house over here on Nevada that I'll guarantee you they got the biggest drug house in town. They're going in and out of there, and I've talked to Rich and I've talked to guys, and I know Rich kind of gave me a pretty good explanation as why they're doing stuff, but I think overall, I think we should satisfy some of these people by bringing them in and talking to them and see what we can actually do, because it is a hassle up in Allendale. I mean, there's an encampment right down below my house and right next to Peter's house and them. And like I say, if you have a bike or anything laying outside, it'll be gone by then. In fact, Mr. DeBono had a bike taken right out of his porch not too long ago. So, but we really need to get, if we can do that.
May I add something?
Sure, you can.
Somebody's speaking. Mr. Chrysler, adding on to that, I could see in his face how dismayed he was about code enforcement, and I think it's time for us to get really, really serious about that. I think we need some serious overhaul of the ordinances or the way we enforce them, because that's been brought up
Mhm.
a lot.
Yeah, we've had discussions on that, it's
A lot.
around the roadblock, and, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially those convicts units.
Oh.
Yeah.
And they're popping, they're all over.
Arts and Culture meets tomorrow, and so I'm going to be going to that. The only thing else I had to report is that my pastor's funeral reception was at Space to Create, and it was beautiful. And the only reason I bring it up is because it seems like that space is finding lots and lots of ways to be used that are great for our community, and I'm very happy about that.
It seems like you guys got an earful as far as golf courses and pickleball, so I'm not gonna add anything else to that. Hopefully these two entities could get put back together quickly, especially with the pickleball, and we'll see what happens with the golf course.
I just want to add to what Frank said and potentially Councilwoman Grego. We heard from 3 people tonight about crime issues, and it's a nationwide problem, obviously. I want to be very, very careful that we're not pointing fingers at our police department, because with and I know I know none of us up here are, but I just want to make that clear. We every community is faced with the same issues, and you have so much funds available, so many people available, and yet the demands are ever increasing. But I think it's important to your point, if we bring the people in, we have a work session, and hopefully can make some forward progress, and dovetailing in with the Unhoused Coalition, hopefully all that together can make some progress. But in speaking to a lot of people lately, there's a definite ongoing concern, and I think it's our responsibility to address it. If we can have a work session for that specifically at our soonest availability, I'm sure we all are excited about spending more time with it.
Wait, you just signed up for 4 more?
I did, yeah.
The whole idea, like everybody's saying, that this is a national problem, it's just not a Trinidad problem, and how to mitigate some of these issues. Sometimes it seems like we're just spinning our wheels. But I don't know what we really can do, and it really has gotten bad, even up in our area the night before last. The previous police chief, his vehicle was broken into.
I saw that.
Was broken into, and he just lives down the road. And there were some kids next door. They got into the vehicle, and they looked like, almost one of them looked like a girl. We couldn't really tell because I saw the video. But anyway, they were wearing hoodies and going around checking vehicles and trying to break in. So it is a problem. And matter of fact, last year sometime, the owner of the Sunset Inn, he was having problems. There were people going around like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning trying to find open doors. So yeah, there's an issue. I don't know what we can do about it, but I think we need to continue to look at it. Like I said, I also attended, like you said, that AAPA. What was interesting is they brought in a gentleman, a national speaker, and the guy, what was interesting is he gave an account of his personal life, of what he went through, being in a family where his mother was killed right in front of him, his brother was killed right in front of him, and the next day his father or his grandfather killed a neighbor. And then he went through the account of how his life has been, and how, it's amazing that this guy is not on the other side of the fence at this point in his life. He has made a complete 180 from everything else that he was faced with. So his presentation was quite long, but it was very eye-opening, because you hear from first-hand experience as to what someone like that goes through. And matter of fact, I did have a discussion, because he sat right next to me, we had a discussion on it, but it was very good listening to him. It was really quite interesting. Also attended the TPR meeting, and we're going to have a discussion Monday on exit 14, and we'll have a in-depth discussion on what's going on with that. One thing that I found out, and because we're not gonna be on that discussion, but you know how we've done bicycle striping through town. And I brought up the question is why, if there was a way that the city could do some striping up the Highway 12, all the way to the edge of the city. Well, I forget the guy's name that was there. And he said that they may be able to do it for us, and they would pay for it. So I think Mr. Ruger was gonna contact him to see if that could be done. So anyway, it's one of those things that if we can get striping up the edge of town without us having to pay for it, go for it. So, and just for everybody, and our legislative roundtable, like I said, is next Wednesday. Space Green Project from 4 to 6. We will have all of our, the city, county officials there. Hopefully you guys can all attend. We'll also have our state representatives, Rod Pelton, our senator, and we'll have Ty Winter. Plus we'll have our 3 representatives from the federal level, for Bennett's office, Bober's office, and Hickenlooper's office. Mike Beasley will be there, he's our lobbyist, and he's going to talk about what he is seeing right now as far as the legislative upcoming session. And there are some issues that he's going to bring forward, I think, be eye-opening. And I think we're going to try to talk to Rod Epper, see if he wanted to, or she wants to present as well. Anybody else besides that? I think that was it.
I think that was it.
So anyway, hopefully, and I'm talking to the newspaper. Are you guys going to maybe have that at the end of the newspaper?
We could, I'll send it on to Eric.
If you could, have something in the newspaper this on Friday.
We already printed for Friday. We can put it in on Monday. And we'll put it on our Facebook. Sorry, we already sent the paper to press for Friday.
It's Thursday, is it Thursday?
Wednesday,
It's Wednesday.
yeah, next Wednesday.
All right.
And we're looking that we would have it in the newspaper, but.
Mayor, I think Ben's saying they can put it in Monday's newspaper.
Right.
It is only digital though, but I'll put it on the Facebook too. We'll try to get the word out.
Just kidding. No.
That's the problem that we're having, is getting the information out properly. Anyway, Mr. Ruger, what do you have?
Mr. Mayor, nothing tonight other than congratulations to everyone who was reelected and our newly elected council person. Excited to work with you. I think we're going to be able to continue a lot of our great work and looking forward to the future.
Okay.
And all the participants in the election. It was a,
Absolutely, of course.
really,
So
I
nice to see
know
such
you meant to say that, yeah. But really to Mayor-elect Griego.
Let's not go there.
This is, yeah. And we're gonna miss a couple of you.
Yeah.
We're gonna be missing you. I'm sorry, did you call on me? No, you're done.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
What about reports by city?
Call roll.
Personal reports.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego? Yes. Ogletree? Yes. Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Rico?
Yeah.